So we are back for the second edition of World Cup Digest. So you like the name or what?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
catching on. It's a lot to digest, and it's going to be a lot to
Exactly.
digest.
Yep. So, bro, it's day two of the World Cup, and we had some very good games. England smashing Iran to bits. I actually thought the Senegal Netherlands was very competitive up until late, and then the USA they really slipped up and they gifted a point to Wales, in my opinion. So that's gonna be the games that we're gonna discuss, and we talked briefly about the matches that's gonna come up tomorrow: Argentina, Saudi Arabia from Group C and D, Mexico, Poland, Denmark, Tunisia, and France, Australia. So, bro, let's kick it off, man. Let's kick it off with the elephant in the room, of course. England 6, Iran 2. Just to run down the goal scorers: Bellingham, 35th, Saka, and then Raheem Sterling in the 45th. Then Saka again, Taremi bagged one, Rashford off the bench, first touch. Then Jack Grealish and Taremi have scored what it is now a record for the latest goal scored in a World Cup match. Latest goal.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
13 minutes added
that
on.
doesn't actually involve extra time.
Right.
So I was
Okay.
actually just going through some records and I bumped into it. I was like, oh wow. So what are your thoughts on this game, bro?
Quite lopsided. Not a scoreline I think many of us would have imagined. Um, I thought that for most of the first half, like Iran was holding on. It was all about like England like trying to break them down, wearing and
Yeah.
tearing. And I feel really bad for Ali Reza Byron Van Man.
Yeah, I actually think if he was in goal, maybe England would have won, but you never know. It could have been a closer game.
It could have. I don't know how much it really would have changed the outcome in the end, but I mean, it was a mismatch. England firing off. I don't know if you heard, but Southgate himself said that he wants the world to see like a different England this World Cup. His own words that the shackles come off, and yeah, I mean they put down a beating on them. I thought that Iran responded the best way that they could. They didn't lie down. I think they knew that they had to keep in mind that goal difference could in some way come into play in this group. I thought Taremi's goal was great. Did you see that back pass he got from Golizade?
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
really good.
that was a
You know,
class goal.
you know, just to double back, good goal. But now that I think about it, right? Remember, Beran Van got injured making a fingertip save, right?
Yes, yeah.
And even though England were attacking and Iran were overly defensive, we always knew that was their game plan, right? And the game plan was working up until Bellingham scored. They survived 30 minutes without conceding. And I think if Beran Van was in goal, a goalkeeper who is a lot more solid, that's why he's the number one, maybe he would have stayed back on his line. Maybe he would have came out, punched that away. Maybe some of the like, for example, the not the first Saka goal, but like the second one and the Rashford goal, even the goal from Grealish. Maybe if it was Beran Van, those would have never happened. Maybe he would have saved. Maybe, so it's a lot of maybes, but we could only do that now in hindsight because England, they were very clinical. I got to give it to them. The breakaways were very, very good. Luke Shaw on the left, he was real. Trippier had a good game as well. Even Harry Maguire had some big moments. I actually missed when I heard you mention he hit I missed that.
Yeah, he hit the crossbar, almost
Yeah,
scored.
I actually missed that because I had to actually I had to take Liam to school, and I actually missed that because I was talking to one of his teachers and I pulled the phone out in my pocket at the same time Bellingham scored. So I was kind of multitasking a bit for just a little while. So the Alireza Beran Van injury kind of saved me that I didn't really miss too much of the first half there. But got to give it to England, man. These young guns, Bellingham, Saka, the likes of Declan Rice. These guys look good. But the thing is, you know, England may look good now, but how would they play when they meet the teams that's actually going to give them some challenge?
Right.
You see what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
Because you think back on the Nations League, these guys got relegated in a group that had Hungary. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And
Yeah.
no disrespect to Hungary, but it's just England. They'll do well, and then they would fall away a bit. But let's see. Maybe it's a different England this time around.
It could be a different England this time around. As I mentioned in the video that I uploaded, I think it's great that you had 5 different goal scorers today. Like, I think it's good, like a good confidence booster to start the tournament off that way.
Without Kane too.
Without Kane,
yeah,
that's true. Yeah, and I think it was Sterling's goal. It was like from one end of the pitch to the other. It was a great team goal. The build up to it was fantastic. We don't know if England is continuing on from like their previous deep runs in the last 2 tournaments. It still remains to be seen. They've yet to be really challenged yet. Do you think it's concerning at all the fact they conceded 2 today, Iran, or that's just happenstance?
I actually think that's a cause for concern because on a few occasions I thought that Iran got in behind a bit too easy. And with that slick play, when Golizadeh got that ball to Taremi, I think Harry Maguire was sleeping a bit. He didn't track Taremi's run. And then John Stones a bit sloppy with the giving away the penalty there. So England have a few players that are very error prone, like a Harry Maguire, John Stones, Kyle Walker. These guys could do some nonsense on their day. I know that. I watch them all the time in the Premier League. But at the same token, they have been doing some good things for their national team. You know what I mean? You got to give Harry Maguire that. Even though he had a few slip-ups, there were positives as well. But overall, England are looking good. Their bench is very, very deep as well. So I think going forward, they would have to manage the player load and like things to do with the yellow cards and stuff so they don't miss games and all of that. Keep players in big games. You know what I mean? And that's all it takes because Southgate said, hey, they got to the final and the semifinal of 2 of the last major tournaments. So the expectation is to get to the semis again. Nothing less than the semis for England. That's the expectations.
Yeah, and regarding Southgate, I mean, the substitutions late on, they made a statement. Rashford scored. It was 49 seconds. He came onto the pitch and he's found the back of the net. And
he wasn't able to pull a Ebbe Sand.
Oh gosh.
16 seconds, bro. You know. Yeah. So look, man. What's next for Iran, though? Do you still have him top in the group?
Well, you know the Homer Simpson meme where he hides in the bushes.
Yeah.
Well, hey, look. I mean, I think the fact that neither Wales or US took full points today means it keeps Iran still alive.
That's true.
Their worst nightmare, I think, is out of the way for now. I think they're still going to be a dangerous team. They're still going to pose problems for both the U.S. and Wales. And I mean, the only where also they can go from here is their next game's against who? Wales, I think.
The next game is against Wales because England play the U.S. on Black Friday.
Yeah, they need something from that match to keep them, or else they could be mathematically.
Do you think the fact that they didn't sing the national anthem and with the whole political statement they're trying to make, do you think that may have affected the way they played on the day, or do you think the two issues are separate?
It's a great question. I mean, it could have. That said, they're coming up against a team that is trying to build itself as one of the favorites to win this tournament. I think it's too early to tell. It's possible. I think political instability in a country always at least has some effect because it stays in the back of the players' minds.
Yeah.
Whether that or not that contributed to them getting destroyed today, I'm skeptical of that. I think they were just outclassed. Yeah. If they go on to put in a very poor showing against Wales and even the US and they finish as one of the worst teams in this tournament, which is something Iran historically does not do. They've never advanced, but they usually don't get humiliated.
Yeah.
Then we can look on that and say maybe, the drama and the politics played a role. What about you?
So I actually spoke on it. I actually think that they should have sang the national anthem, in my opinion. I think this is the wrong arena to lodge a protest. I think they think that a lot of people would see and it would bring awareness, but I just like to separate the football and politics, especially the more negative side of the politics, the uglier side. And with that being said, England did take the knee as well. That's political. So, but that's a more positive message. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So,
sorry, go ahead.
no, yeah, so it's just a more positive message. So it's like I just like to not get into the politics, but it is very difficult to avoid.
It is difficult to avoid, and that whole thing's a debate in and of itself, whether or not they
Exactly.
should sing or the,
Yeah.
you know,
But it's just my opinion, and it's
Yeah.
not meant to offend anybody. So for anybody watching, we don't want to get into that too much. Just it was part of the match. I think it affected the players, and. But do you think that your former Egyptian manager Carlos Queiroz got it wrong on the day, or you think he tried his best and it just didn't work
For the
out?
most part, no, I don't think he got it wrong. I
Okay.
don't think he got it wrong. I thought that Iran approached this game in the only way they knew basically how to. And they sat back and they were pretty efficient at absorbing pressure for, over half an hour. It says here Bellingham scored in the 35th minute. Yeah, I mean, once that happened, the whole game plan went up in smoke. And when you set up against a team that's just better in quality, and they just your best means is just to hold them back for as long as possible. Once that's been breached, it just goes up in flames. And Byron Van's injury did not help them. And like you said, maybe if he's in goal and he saves Bellingham's attempt, that could have had a domino effect where England doesn't open the floodgates and just destroy them. So I don't know, but I don't think there's not much else he could have done. Do you disagree? Do you agree, or what?
No, I just saw that he was criticized for some of the players that he chose to start in the game and some of his tactics. You know what I mean? But I knew they were always going to be defensive. But look, man, we have another game to talk about. A few more games. We're going to leave the other Group C match for last. So let's talk Senegal 0, the Netherlands 2. Cody Gakpo in the 84th minute, Davy Klaassen in the 90th plus 9 minutes. And this is a Senegal without Sadio Mane. We could see how much they miss in Sadio Mane because they lack that potency in attack today.
Yeah, and even despite his absence, they put in a good accounting of themselves. I mean,
They did.
I thought the Netherlands looked a little bit rusted. They looked a little bit.
Rusty is the right word because they look good and then they'll get into the box with a good play and then it would fizzle out. Senegal would just deal with everything. But as the game progressed, Van Gaal, I think, made some good moves and made some, shifted up a few things with Cody Gakpo, and maybe he instructed Frankie de Jong to put the ball into the box a bit more. The Depay substitution as well, bringing on like-for-like players. He just showed a lot of intent. You see what I mean? And it worked out.
It did. Van Gaal, he's quite adept at making adaptations in a game when things aren't going his way. And I thought bringing Depay on, even though Depay apparently is not 100% fit, I think it alleviated some pressure off the Netherlands.
Yeah,
having him up front, he provided that outlet for them going forward. And I think that for Senegal, we could have been looking at an entirely different storyline if Mane was there, because I mean, they performed pretty well. And I thought the scoreline was a little bit harsh on them. I'm not necessarily saying they deserve to get something from this match, but 2-0, given the way they played.
It was harsh. It was harsh. Anyone seeing this score would say, hey, wow, the Netherlands won. But they would never knew that it was like a very even game, and Senegal dominated for many parts of that game. And if they just had that player that would have made something out of nothing, like a Sadio Mane, it could have been a whole different outcome. But I think they did well enough that they could have actually held on to the 0-0 draw. But the Netherlands just kept shifting up in gear.
Yep.
And one player I have to criticize, man. I have to talk about Edward Mendy. I know it's harsh, but you have to absolutely win that ball, man. How could you have hands and you have height and you still allow Cody Gakpo to win that header before you could get to that ball? Come on. And Koulibaly, flat-footed as well. But you got to give credit to Frankie de Jong for that ball that was a deadly ball, you know?
Mendy was a little bit delayed in his response, but
Yeah.
I also wonder if the Senegalese back line deserved a little bit of the blame too, because when I watched replays of it, it looked like when Gakpo was running up and he sensed the ball was coming into him,
Exactly.
he was open for a little
He
bit.
knew the ball was coming. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? These guys probably practice this in training all the time.
Yeah.
And, you know, Koulibaly was flat-footed. And if you really look at their club form, Koulibaly and Mendy has not been in very good form for Chelsea at all, where they're in and out of this team. So, you know, even though Koulibaly had a rather solid day as the game, you know, labored on, maybe he got, you know, lost concentration because it was the 84th minute. You've been running around, you know, you're a little leggy. And
Yeah.
with Cody Gakpo, a younger player, more determined, a player that I did identify that could be a breakout star for this World Cup for the Dutch, you know, and he came up clutch with that header, man.
Yeah, he did. And this match, it could end up being very much so a blessing for the Netherlands because now they got this win. They didn't play their best by any means.
Yeah.
This could be like the oil they need to get the wheels greased up and going, revved up for the rest of the group stage, which they should top, and then make a case for a deep run in the knockouts. For Senegal, it hurts them especially because assuming in this group everyone takes Qatar to the cleaners, this could come down to goal differential. And you got -2 now. Ecuador's got +2. So, you know, it's not just the fact they lost, but it felt like when David Klassen doubled their lead in stoppage time, that was like the knife in the stomach, it felt like.
Yeah, I think Mendy made another error with that parry as well. It's like he could have leave that ball, or he could have cushioned it a lot better. So I gotta blame him. You know what I'm saying? I really gotta blame him because I think they played well. You know, Sabali looked good. Diatta and Ismail Assar caused some trouble. The midfield was really good, man. I think Mendy, Gay, and Kouyaté was really good. And I think that's it for Kouyaté for this World Cup too, man. He got stretched off, and that's not a good sign.
I believe it was Ismail Assar. He had that one really good shot right after the Netherlands took the lead.
I think that was Pape Gay had a good shot.
Yeah, probably Gay. It was Gay. Yeah.
That Noppert. And the thing too about the Dutch, I never heard about this goalkeeper. He's 6'8". He plays for Herenveen, and I'm like, who the hell is this guy? But he didn't put out a bad performance at all. They pulled off a few good saves. His reach is, you know, very long. So let's see how he fare when they come up against the better teams, man. But look, I think it was a harsh result for Senegal.
Yeah.
Remember, they are the flag bearers for Africa as the champions. And the Dutch, it was a rusty showing, but they looked oiled up at the end there. Even Van Dijk and Frankie de Jong, that mix up, you know, and a few clearances as well. Remember, they've cleared a few that was, you know, going to be a tapping at the far post. You know what I mean? So Senegal, I think they should be proud of the performance, but they got to go back to the drawing board, and they absolutely have to hammer Qatar, and they have to get something from Ecuador if they are to go through, because look, it could come down to goal difference, because what if Netherlands beat Ecuador and the game between Senegal and Ecuador draws? So, you know,
which is really what should happen. The Netherlands should run the table, and it comes down to that header.
It's going to be very, very tight. So Senegal got to look to if they do beat Qatar, they have to look to smash them, take them to the cleaners. And I do feel for Qatar, man. They, I really feel for them. But look, man, look, the next game, the last but not least, we leave the last bit of time for that game. But before we do, so that we don't spend any other time talking about these, tomorrow, Argentina, Saudi Arabia. Who you got?
Oh, Argentina for sure.
Yeah, of course. It would send shockwaves if Saudi Arabia get anything from that game.
I expect a clean sheet as well. I expect Argentina to win by at least 4 goals.
Mexico, Poland. That one's tough, right?
I mean, I have Mexico advancing out of the group. I have to see El Segundo Ronda fall apart.
I got Mexico winning that game. Poland are type of team that they might look good before the tournament. When coming into the tournament, they're nowhere. They haven't drawn a game at the World Cup since I think 1986.
Dom, this could be the boring 0-0.
This could be it too, but they haven't drawn a game since 1986, and Mexico have not lost to Poland since the 80s as well. So,
I'm going to play it safe and go with a draw. I think it'll be 1-1 draw.
But man, Mexico, when it comes to the World Cup, these dudes show up. I don't know what it is.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I think they're going to advance. I still have them advancing, but I think it's going to be a draw here.
Okay, I got them winning this game. Denmark, Tunisia.
I have Denmark winning. I don't think it's going to be comfortable. I think Tunisia is going to be a very stringent team.
Me too.
I think it could be as low as 1-0, maybe 2-0. But I think Denmark will get it done.
France, Australia. Oh man, elephant in the room. I was tempted to go with a 1-1 draw, but I think France are gonna do it, man. I think they're gonna win the game.
Asaustralia is going to deliver a semi-shock. They're gonna draw this game.
Okay, let's see. I'm actually going for a 3-0 win for France. I haven't done my preview yet. So, but still, I want to go for a 3-0 win for France. They're still stacked up. That's the beauty about them. They're still very stacked up. So even without Pogba and Kante and Benzema, Kimpembe, you look around the squad, I cannot even fathom. I should be able to fathom, when you consider history, but still, I just can't. But look, last game before we land the plane here. USA won, Wales won. I know it's frustrating. Timothy Weah in the 36, Garrett Clutch Bales, King of Wales, in the 82nd from the penalty spot. A game or two halves. Nowhere else, no other way to describe this match. The USA dominant in the first half. They should have took Wales to the cleaners, and they just didn't show up in the second half, bro. So,
yeah, tale of two halves. And I think this game quite painstakingly really highlights the U.S. team under Berhalter. It's like you see the potential that's there, and to a large extent, the potential was realized in the first half, but just this inability to close out games. I think it shows inexperience at this level, man, because when a team like Wales is able to play on autopilot, getting dominated by a very young and vibrant U.S. side, but still it got a result because Robert Page, he had them coming out in the second half. They looked totally different, and the U.S. started to look gassed. They started to look had a few injuries, many substitutions. This team is not yet there, and they could still yet come out of this group, but it's substantially harder now because they dropped the 2 points given the remaining schedule. And yeah, it's frustrating because only this team can make you go into a tournament with low expectations, play one game, and then not even be content with the draw, but feeling like you should have won.
Exactly. But I think it was a big letdown because they played so well in the first half, man. I didn't believe what I was actually seeing. They looked really good. The way they passed the ball, the energy, the way they moved, the skill level, and the way Timothy Weah took that goal, man. It was like, wow. You know what I'm saying? The way, the execution and everything.
The through ball by Pulisic.
Exactly.
It was beautiful. I was watching with my dad. My dad got off his seat. He was like, what? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, man. So the way they came back in the second half, I was like, I knew they're not winning this game, and it was a I have to use the word dumb. It was a dumb tackle in the box. You're in the box. Why are you going through the man to get to the ball? Come
Well,
on, Zimmerman. Like, come
yeah,
on, man. Like, that made absolutely no sense. His back was to goal, everything. I
exactly.
think I think if that didn't happen, the USA scrap out an ugly 1-0 win.
Bale had the ball. He turned around away from goal, like you said. It looked like
Yeah,
he was trying to go back out in order to get more space to have to turn. And Zimmerman just like lunged his body full force. It's like, bro, what are you doing? He's gonna pass it,
exactly.
and it's just like, and I feel bad for Matt Turner because he got a
Yeah,
finger.
that big save by Ben Davies too. Yeah.
That's the worst, man. When you get a finger to it, and you know you should have maybe saved it.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I really like what I saw the first half. The first half of this match was some of the best football I've seen them play in the last 2-3 years.
And
And I,
you know the crazy thing, bro? Wales could have won this game as well.
yeah,
Remember when Matt Turner came off his line and
yeah,
Garrett Bale was about to set the World Cup on fire with like a Patrick Schick type goal,
yeah. And
and
then I think it was,
Kellen Acosta took him out?
yep.
Yeah, I have a theory. I've been advocating for the inclusion of Kellen Acosta for some time, and some people's been commenting and say, "Oh, you don't know anything about no U.S. football." I'm like, yeah, like I haven't been watching the team consistently for the last 6 years or so, right? Yeah, I know I haven't. So when I saw this guy at the Gold Cup, right, I identified a leader, an enforcer. And if you have him and Tyler Adams together, thou shall not pass, man. At least not
Tyler
easily.
Tyler Adams was one of the most impressive players that I thought. Did you
Yeah.
notice how he was dropping back like out of his position to compensate for like the defense slacking?
Yeah. He's the captain now, so
Yeah.
you know.
Tim Ream
But
also had a good
I
performance.
think he needs to work on his temperament though. No, as captain, you can't be too you have to be that diplomat for the team. And if you're always in the referee's face, then you can't, negotiate and get a player off of not getting a yellow card or you understand.
Yeah, of
So he
course.
needs to just calm his temperament and mature a bit more, but that will come with more time and more realization that of the role that you're actually in now. You know what I mean? But anything else you have to add though on this game?
Well, speaking of temperament, even though I really like the fact that we were aggressive
Mm-hmm.
and like going after every challenge, we picked up a couple of like yellows to keep a weary eye on because Dest, McKenny, they get carded again next game heading into that match against Iran if it's a must win,
And Reem.
and Ream as well, Tim Ream. Yeah,
Yep.
that's true.
So
So yeah, I mean, yeah. How do you think that like? I mean, do you think the team is in a really bad spot now as far as like progression, or it's still up in the air?
it is still up in the air. Anything could happen. England couldn't be a different England on Friday, or they might just decimate the USA. And then, what if the USA needs? If they do lose to England, it has to be a narrow loss, and
Yes.
they have to take Iran to the cleaners, which is going to be something difficult. And because the game is going to be so politically charged, Iran might end up getting something from the match, which is
Yeah.
crazy. And the USA might actually get eliminated. You see what I mean?
And I think honestly, there's a part of me that feels that we don't fully control our own destiny because
Mm,
even if we are to sustain like a narrow, respectable loss to England, um, we would. It's looking like we might need Iran to get something from their match against Wales.
exactly. And you don't ever want that. You really never
You
want that.
don't want that because of Wales. The thing is, Wales going into a last game against England, you got history, you got neighbors, you got
Yeah.
rivalry. England might rest players.
Exactly.
Wales do not
Exactly.
Wales do not want to lose to England in a World Cup. You could
Yep.
see like a 1-1, 0-0. Thank you, pat in the back very much. We both,
Yeah.
you know.
But look, we could be here all night we know the USA, they missed a great opportunity. England destroyed Iran. Senegal suffered a tough loss to the Netherlands. We have 4 more games coming up tomorrow, so we will be back for the 3rd edition of the FIFA World Cup Digest with your one and only Dominic Rich and Football Pharaoh. So thanks for joining me again. We covered a lot of talking points here, and we're gonna be doing this. We want to do this every day, right? We're gonna try. It's our challenge. We're gonna try. So subscribe to both the channels if you're new, guys. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Like the video if you haven't yet done so. All the links to both of our channels will be in the description box. And from Football Fair and I, peace out. Rich Squad. You wanna say your outro? I like when you say your outro that you do on your channel. I like that. What you do.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks, Dom, again for having me on. We're just getting started. This is just episode number 2 of World Cup Digest. You guys, hopefully you stick around for the whole journey this coming month. And you can find me on Twitter, Football Pharaoh, at Soccer Pharaoh. That's at @soccer_Pharaoh. Subscribe to my channel that Dominic referred to. And give us a like and share us on social media with some friends or family you think would also enjoy this content. And hopefully we all see you soon. God willing, peace out, everybody.
All right.